donated for the Archana, Annadan and other sevas. Over 3,000 kids participated in different kids competitions. Over 100 cultural performances took place. Shri Radha Krishna's Abhishekam was performed in all these locations with grand success. Over 1,000 bhoga preparations were cooked by the devotees and offered to the Lord. All the devotees were served delicious Krishna Prasadam and they also took part in many other activities. So what are you waiting for? 26th August 2024, save the date and join us for Shri Krishna Janmashtami Mahotsav 2024. There will be a lot of kirtans, stage performances, Archana, Abhishekam, delicious heart purifying prasadam, many fun activities and much more. Don't forget to click the link or scan the QR code to book your seva to avoid last minute rush. Nand ke ghar anand bhayo, Jai Kanhaiya Lal ki, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. A very warm welcome to all of you for joining today's Krishna Ratri series. Today, I would like to welcome all of you for the day 21 of the Krishna Ratri series. Every day, it's so nice to see all of you joining for the Krishna Ratri series enthusiastically. By listening to the Krishna Kathas every day, we are purifying our souls and preparing our consciousness for the upcoming Shri Krishna Janmashtami, the most auspicious day of the year. Now it's time to welcome today's speaker. Today's speaker is none other than His Grace Shri Abhinav Gaurangadas Prabhu, my Siksha Guru. Abhinav Gaurangadas Prabhu had joined ISKCON in the year 2020 in the month of August during COVID. By the mercy of Sri Guru and Gaurang, he was able to make a steady progress. He completed his Bhakti Shastri in 2022 and got initiated in October 2023. He is a member of the media team of ISKCON and responsible for video editing and poster creation. He runs his very own Gita course every Saturday at 5 p.m. too. Materially, he is a Grihastha and a father of 10-year-old daughter. He works at a renowned industrial software company as a senior developer. Let's welcome Prabhuji with a big Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Over to you, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for the kind words. Although I don't deserve anything, but just for the sake of introduction, yeah, it's required. So without wasting any further time, I'll just share my screen and then we can get started for this particular session. Please, if any one of you can just raise your hand and give me an indication that I'm clearly audible and visible to all of you. Okay, thank you so much. You can lower your hands now. So yes, so today we are going to see, discuss the topic, the Gopis attracted by Krishna's flute. Now, this is a very, I would like to say that this is a confidential topic. Generally, all the pastimes between the Gopis of Vrindavan and between Krishna and Gopis of Vrindavan, between Sri Krishna and Srimati Radharani, they all appear in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, and what to speak of me, like even the most advanced acharyas who are very pure devotees of Lord Sri Krishna, they also are very hesitant, or rather, they maintain certain distance when it comes to describing these pastimes, because it's a very confidential topic. Okay, and not everyone is supposed to speak on this. But I don't like what to speak of me. I'm just a normal grihastha. I've just started my journey in Krishna consciousness. And somehow, by the mercy of Lord Sri Krishna, Guru, Gauranga, and all the senior devotees, all the Siksha Gurus of mine, right? Because of them, I have this opportunity. So I'm just taking it as a seva. And I'm not going to get into much details. Wherever required, I would let Srila Prabhupada do all the explanation by, quoting directly from the text. Okay. So moving on, I would like to first dedicate this session to our founder Acharya, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. I would also like to dedicate this session to my Guru Maharaj, and I hope that this humble effort of mine will please both of them. Okay. And before we proceed, I'd just like to do some Mangalacharan to invoke some auspiciousness, and then we can get along with the topic. Those who know this can just remain on mute and just repeat after me. Those who don't know can listen very intently, because listening is also very, very purifying. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च। श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवम् श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरि यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानंद माधवं श्री चैतन्य ईश्वरम्। हरि ओम तत्सत्। Okay, so moving on. So before we get into the pastimes, basically, let's first, get some, what to say, initial knowledge about the different rasas or milos in which a particular devotee can associate with Lord Krishna. Okay. So in the Bhagavad Gita introduction part, Bhagavad Gita as it is introduction, we see that Srila Prabhupada mentions that there are 5 moods or 5 rasas or 5 milos, okay, in which a devotee can associate with Lord Krishna. Okay. First one, if you look at this corner bottom left corner of my screen, this is the Shant Rasa, okay, where the devotee is not very active in executing the devotional service. Okay, just by their mere physical presence, they just try to satisfy Krishna or try to make Krishna happy. Okay, so such a mood is known as the Shant Rasa. So all the cows of Krishna, all the animals, birds of in the forests of Vrindavan, okay, and even the flute of Krishna, okay, so they all associate with Krishna in the Shant Rasa. Okay, similarly, then there is coming to the bottom right corner is the Dasya Rasa, okay, where the devotee acts as a servant and Krishna, he or she considers Krishna as their master. Okay, so they are basically Das of Krishna. Okay, servant of Krishna. So this is the Dasya Rasa. Okay. Similarly, some devotees take up the role of the friends of Krishna, the cowherd boys. Okay, so they are in the mood of Sakhya Rasa. Okay, like in the mood of friendship towards Krishna. And similarly, the fourth one is the Vatsalya Rasa, where the devotee treats Krishna as their child. Okay, for example, Mother Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, all the elderly gopis of Vrindavan. Okay, they used to look at Krishna as their child. Okay, so that was Vatsalya Rasa. And then finally, the topmost of all the moods, topmost of all the rasas is the Madhurya Ras. Okay, where the devotee looks at Krishna as their lover. Okay, Srimati Radharani is the epitome of such a rasa. Okay. Now, one thing we all have to understand that in all of these rasas or all of these moods, one thing is common, that is servitorship towards Krishna. Okay. Every person, like even when a person is in the Dasya Rasa, or even in the Sakhya Rasa, or in the Vatsalya Rasa, or in the Madhurya Rasa, okay, they all are serving Krishna. Okay, the mood is to serve Krishna so that Krishna is satisfied, Krishna is happy. Okay, at no point of time, someone should think that, oh, I have taken up the role of Krishna's friend, so I'm equal to Krishna, or I have taken up the role that I have developed some motherly affection towards Krishna, so Krishna is like my child, so I'm superior to Krishna. No. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. That position is taken. We all are eternal loving servants of Krishna. So whatever role that we have taken is simply to serve Krishna so that we make him happy. Okay, so that is the mood. So moving forward, uh, now the pastime begins. Okay, so let's immerse in the nectarian pastime. So it so happened it all starts with the autumn season. Okay, so autumn and spring, these are two seasons where the atmosphere is very, very pleasant. Okay, the temperature is neither very hot nor too cold. Okay, and the trees are blossom. There is a blossom on the trees. Trees are blossoming. Okay, and the grass is freshly grown. And since the monsoon season has just passed by, so in the autumn, what happens? All the lakes and rivers, they are completely filled with what was it, crystal clear water. Okay, and this scene of Vrindavan was simply mesmerizing. Okay, and on top of that, Krishna, along with his cowherd friends, along with Lord Balram, he enters into the forest of Vrindavan with their cows and playing on the flute. Okay, and after hearing that flute which Krishna plays, what to speak of the residents of Vrindavan? The entire universe becomes stunned. It just comes at a complete halt. Okay? Such is the potency, such is the melody of Krishna's flute. Okay. And then what happens that when the gopis hear that flute, they start remembering Krishna. Okay. And then they start talking amongst themselves that, okay, how nicely Krishna is playing on the flute. Okay. And when they're discussing this, they also remember the pastimes that they had with Krishna. Okay. And then their minds get disturbed after remembering those pastimes. And in fact, they are not able to describe, how beautifully Krishna is playing the flute, in a very effective way. Okay, so what I'll just simply quote from the text. After hearing the vibration of the flute of Krishna, the gopis in Vrindavan remembered him and began to talk amongst themselves about how nicely Krishna was playing the flute. Okay, and this is the highest perfection of the eyes. Why? Because just to see Krishna enter into the forest of Vrindavan along with the cowherd boys, along with Lord Balram, along with the cows. Okay, I mean, it cannot get better than that. Autumn season is around. Entire atmosphere is very jubilant, right? And Krishna is playing so melodiously on the flute. Okay, so this is something really extraordinary and an absolute treat for the eyes. Okay, we are not so fortunate, okay, being born in this age of Kali Yuga, but the gopis were. All the other residents of Vrindavan were. Okay, they used to see it, but the bottom line is that the perfection of eyes, that how can we engage our eyes in pure devotional service towards Krishna? It's just by seeing the beautiful deities of Krishna. Okay, you go to any ISKCON temple, their beauty of those deities, the way they decorate the deities, the way they dress up the deities is simply extraordinary. Okay, and that is the perfection of eyes for us. Okay, so instead of watching something stupid on Instagram or Facebook, yeah, better take darshan of some ISKCON temples. Okay, social media can be used in the service of Krishna as well. Okay, if provided if it is used in the right way. Okay, so and Krishna is also no less than a hero. Okay, he dresses beautifully. I mean, what to say? Let's see what Srila Prabhupada says how Krishna dresses. Okay, so first thing, he is decorated with a peacock feather on his head. Okay. Second, beautiful blue flowers are pushed behind his ears. Then dressed in a beautiful glowing yellow garment. Now, this kind of garment you will not see in this material world. Okay, it has a completely different quality, completely different make. Okay, it just belongs to the spiritual world. We simply cannot, describe it in words how the dress or the garments of Krishna look like. Okay. Then Vajanti Mala, like Vajanti garland, he's just what to say, wearing around his neck. And the quality of this Vajanti garland is that the flowers are always fragrant and fresh. Okay, they never get dried up. So this was the speciality of the Vajanti garland, which Krishna used to, wear around his neck. Okay, and then he's dressed so beautifully, and then he starts playing the flute. So all the people, who are just crazy after these celebrities of Hollywood and Bollywood, let me tell them, guys and girls, you just don't know what real beauty is. Okay. So when you have a look at Krishna, so that actually exemplifies or personifies the actual beauty. He is the epitome of all the beauty. we humans, we can't even match the beauty of the residents of higher planetary system. What to speak of the residents of Golok Vrindavan, correct? So this is how Krishna is beautifully dressed. And then he starts playing the flute. And while he's playing the flute, he is actually pouring the nectar, from which is coming out of his lips into the flute. Okay. And because of this, the gopis are, very, very envious of the flute, right? Why? Because what happens is that Krishna, while performing his pastime with the gopis, sometimes kisses them. Okay, so this transcendental nectar which is on the lips of Krishna, they also touch the cheeks of the gopis. Okay, so basically, gopis are the only residents of the Vrindavan who have this direct access of this transcendental nectar of Krishna. Okay, but now they are seeing that, oh, this flute is also enjoying the same nectar. Like Krishna is himself pouring the nectar into the flute actually. So they are very envious. So I'm not going to speak any further on this. I'll simply quote. I'll let Srila Prabhupada do all the explanation. Okay, so I'll simply quote from the text. So what the gopis are discussing, my dear friends, we cannot even think of this bamboo flute. What sort of pious activities did it execute so that it is now enjoying the nectar of the lips of Krishna, which is actually the property of us gopis. Okay, so gopis have the copyright for that, right? And they are just discussing this amongst themselves. So Krishna sometimes kisses the gopis, therefore transcendental nectar of the lips is available only to them. And secondly, what they are saying, so the gopis asked, how it is possible that the flute, which is nothing but a bamboo rod, is always engaged in enjoying the nectar from Krishna's lips? Because the flute is engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord, the mother and father of the flute must be very happy. So this is what the gopis are discussing amongst themselves. Now a question arises, how can a flute have a mother and a father? Like, who is the mother and who is the father of the flute? Okay, so we get the answer here. Lakes and rivers can be considered as the mother of the trees, okay, which grow beside them. Okay, the trees, because they mostly survive by absorbing water. Trees generally don't eat anything. Okay, we all know that they prepare their own food. Okay, scientifically, that process is known as photosynthesis with the help of sunlight and water. So essentially, what they are taking from the ground or from uh, the nature is basically the water. Okay, and this water is supplied by the lakes and rivers. Okay, of the Vrindavan. So these lakes and rivers can be considered as the mother of all these trees, and from these trees, that bamboo comes out from which the flute of Krishna is prepared. Okay, so water is provided by the lakes and rivers, and Krishna's flute was made of bamboo growing beside the river or lake in the forests of Vrindavan. Okay, so these lakes and rivers are considered to be the mothers of Krishna's flute. So they will be very, very happy, okay, that the flute that their descendant actually is actually engaged in such a nice, loving devotional service towards the Lord. Okay. So the gopis are saying all the lakes and rivers must be very happy and proud of the fact that their son is engaged in such a beautiful, wonderful devotional service. Okay. So now the deer, as I said earlier, that when Krishna starts playing the flute, I mean, it's not just the residents of Vrindavan, but everyone, okay, whether it's the birds, whether it's the animals, whether it's the insects, plants, trees, caves, rocks, mountains, everything, they just come to a standstill. Okay, they're completely mesmerized. They are completely struck, by the melody which comes out of Krishna's flute. So the deer also, they start, offering their humble obeisances along with their husbands. Okay, they are just, offering their humble obeisances to Krishna, to the lotus feet of Krishna. And seeing this, the gopis again, they become envious of the deer. Why? Because gopis also want to serve Krishna in the same way along with their husbands. But when they try to meet Krishna, their husbands are not very happy. Okay, which is quite understandable, right? If a married woman is, spending more time with a male friend, right, then obviously questions will be asked, right? So this is why they are very kind of envious of the deer. Okay, the sound of Krishna's flute is so enchanting that even animals are captivated by it. And when the deer hear the flute, they, along with their husbands, start offering humble obeisances to Krishna. Okay, and the gopis are envious of the deer because deer were able to offer their service to Krishna along with their husbands. The gopis thought themselves not so fortunate because whenever they wanted to go to Krishna, their husbands were not very happy. So this is another pastime of the gopis. Beautiful. And what you see here is in this picture is an airplane. Okay, very different from our Indigo or Air India Express, right? But yeah, even the denizens of heaven are attracted. Okay, so all the residents of higher planetary system, heavenly planetary systems, they just move around in their airplanes. Okay, and their airplanes, as I said, are very different from us. Okay, they are just like flying fortresses or a small city in themselves. Okay, and all the women folk in that airplane are enjoying with their husbands. Okay, and they are just crossing over the forest of Vrindavan where Krishna is playing the flute, and even they become stunned after hearing that. Okay, and so much so that all the women in that airplane, they become perturbed. Okay, and they are completely, their hair gets loosened, and all these things are described in the book. Okay, so denizens of heaven can fly on different kind of airplanes, as you see in the picture. Okay, upon hearing Krishna's flute, even they become attracted to it. Okay, and the women folk of heaven who are traveling in the airplane along with their husbands become perturbed upon hearing Krishna's flute. And the flute is extended, so it can be said that the melody of the flute is not just confined to the forest of Vrindavan, but it extends to all corners of the universe. Okay, because each and every single living entity, whether it's the residents of Vrindavan or whether it's the residents of higher planetary system, they all are very, very attracted, towards that music of the flute. Okay, and although the gopis were not very well educated, this is very another important point, right? They had all the knowledge of the airplanes and the denizens of heaven. Why? How? Because Krishna is the source of all the knowledge. Okay, Vidyascha sarver aham eva vedyo. Vedant krit ved videva chaham. And this particular shloka comes in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, and it says, Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto mata smritir jnanam apohanam cha. From me comes all the remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So Krishna is the source of all the knowledge. And even in the Brahma Samhita, the first shloka, fifth chapter, first shloka of Brahma Samhita says, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana. So Krishna has a form which is Satchid Anand, right? Which is full of um, beauty, knowledge, and bliss. So Krishna is the source of all the knowledge, and gopis have gained this knowledge simply by hearing from the authoritative sources. Okay, authoritative or the bona fide sources. Okay, not from some concocted theories presented by some philosophical speculators and scholars. Okay, they have just heard it from the bona fide sources, from the sages as it is. Okay, so this is very important point. How can we imbibe the Vedic knowledge? Okay, it has to be taken through proper listening from the authoritative sources, and it has to be as it is without any concoctions. Then the situation of the cows. So we have seen the situation of the denizens of heaven, we have seen the situation of the gopis, now we see the situation of the cows. Okay, the cows are so charmed by Krishna's flute that they are simply mesmerized completely. Okay, immediately the sound of the flute is like the nectar, which is coming out of the flute. Okay, that melody is just like a nectar, and immediately cows, what they do, they simply turn their ears towards that sound of the flute, as if they are just trying to catch that nectar, and imbibe that, within themselves. Okay, that is the situation of the cows, and the situation of the calves is even more beautiful. Okay, the calves are so struck by devotion that their mouths are touching the nipples of the cows, so that they can suck milk from there, right? But still, they are not able to suck the milk. Why? Because they are completely struck, by the devotion towards Krishna. Okay, tears are continuously coming down from their eyes. Okay, because they have this heart-to-heart connection, with Krishna, and that is the culmination of Krishna consciousness. Once you start crying for Krishna, once you start shedding tears for Krishna, okay, then we can say that we have reached the perfection of Krishna consciousness. Okay, because this tear can be the tears of joy or ecstasy. Okay, or it can be from the pain of separation of Krishna. If either of the two things we are feeling within their hearts, then that is an indication that we are advancing Krishna consciousness. Okay, and the cows, even cows, they cry for Krishna in the Golok Vrindavan, and they can establish this heart-to-heart connection with Krishna. Okay? So this is the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, to cry for Krishna. And then the situation of the birds and Yamuna. So if the cows are mesmerized, then how can the birds be left behind? Okay, so they are also very intently, they are sitting on the branches of different trees, and simply just everything has come to a standstill, and they are just listening very intently to the flute of Krishna. Okay, and the birds who are all looking at Krishna playing his flute, sitting very attentively on the branches of different trees. And it is said that these birds are no ordinary birds. They are, in fact, very advanced sages who are very, very advanced in Vedic knowledge. Okay, they have taken the form of birds and have appeared in the forest of Vrindavan just to enjoy the melody of Krishna's flute. Okay, so it appears that they have forgotten everything and that they are engaged in only hearing Krishna's flute. Okay, so this proves that they are not ordinary birds, they are great sages and devotees. Just to hear Krishna's flute, they have appeared in the forest of Vrindavan. Okay? And great sages and scholars, they are always, uh, always after this, Vedic knowledge, to gain this Vedic knowledge by reading the scriptures or by, doing some Shastrarth and all those things. Okay, but as I said earlier, in the 15th chapter, 15th verse of the Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Vedas sarvar aham Ved. From all the Vedas, I am to be known. So Krishna is saying that. Okay, so only Krishna has to be understood. If someone is spending their entire life reading the Vedas and all the scriptures, but they do not come uh, in Krishna, but that doesn't culminate in Krishna consciousness. They do not become a pure devotee of Krishna after reading so much of Vedas and scriptures. Then that whole effort of there is a completely futile effort. It's useless. It's just a wastage of time. Okay. So if we are reading the scriptures, that means in the end we should be Krishna conscious. We should become devotees of Krishna. Okay. Then we can say that okay, we have actually justified the reading of these things. Okay. And these great sages in the form of birds, have come to hear have taken to the transcendental vibration of Krishna's flute and rejected all the Vedic knowledge. So Vedic knowledge is nothing without being Krishna conscious. That is another very important lesson that we can learn from here. Okay, and the situation of river Yamuna is also very similar, right? River Yamuna, or rather Mother Yamuna, she wanted to offer the lotus flowers, to Krishna with all her love and devotion towards Krishna. Okay? So what she does, all the violent waves which are there in River Yamuna, they are all pacified, once Krishna starts playing the flute, and very gently she flows towards the lotus feet of Krishna, carrying all the lotus flowers and offering it to him. Okay. So River Yamuna is also struck by the sound of Krishna's flute. She desires to touch the lotus feet of Krishna, and she gives up her fierce waves and flows gently, carrying the lotus flowers to offer to the Lord. Such beautiful scene is there in Vrindavan in the autumn season, when Krishna is playing the flute, right? So the fortune of Govardhan, and what to speak of Govardhan, right? Someday, if I get the chance, I can also speak on Govardhan Leela, because that is one of my favorites. But just in a nutshell, I would like to say that Govardhan Hill or the Govardhan Mountain is non-different from Krishna. Okay, just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is non-different from Krishna, right? He is Krishna himself, who has appeared as Krishna's devotee. Okay. Similarly, Govardhan has also appeared from the heart of Krishna on request of Srimati Radharani. So Govardhan is non-different from Krishna, and he is the greatest devotee of Krishna. Okay. So, and obviously he's very, very fortunate, right? So we'll see how. So we'll just quote from the text again. Another Gopi began to praise the unique position of Govardhan Hill in this way. How fortunate is this Govardhan Hill, for it is enjoying the association of Lord Krishna and Balram, who are accustomed to walking on it. Thus, Govardhan is always in touch with the lotus feet of the Lord, and because Govardhan Hill is so obliged to Krishna and Balram, it is supplying different kinds of fruits, roots, herbs, and as well as very pleasing crystal clear water from its lakes in presentation to the Lord. The best presentation offered by Govardhan, however, is newly grown grass for the cows and calves. Govardhan Hill knows how to please the Lord by pleasing his most beloved associates, the cows and cowherd boys. That is why Govardhan is known as Haridas. Okay, very few personalities, I think only 3 personalities, they come in this category of Haridas. Govardhan is one of them, and he is the topmost Haridas. Okay? And he is also non-different from Krishna. This is the fortune of Govardhan Hill. Okay. And then wonderful reactions to the vibration. So when Krishna and Balram, they start playing their flute, all the moving and non-moving objects, they are completely stunned. As I have said earlier, the moving objects, they come to a standstill, and all the non-moving objects, they start vibrating in ecstasy. Okay. Now, the reason why I'm using this term moving and non-moving is because in the spiritual world, there is no concept of living and non-living things. Okay. This concept is there only in this material world. Okay. We are in that situation. But in spiritual world, everything is live and everything has consciousness, whether it's the caves, whether it's the mountains, whether it's the rocks, stones, everything. Okay. So everything appears wonderful when Krishna and Balram travel to the forest of Vrindavan playing their flutes. And when Krishna and Balram play on their transcendental flutes, the moving creatures become stunned and stop their activities. Non-moving creatures like trees, plants began to shiver with ecstasy. Okay? So this is the effect of Krishna's flute when he starts playing the flute. Okay. So, what lesson can we learn from all this? Like, lesson can we learn from the gopis of Vrindavan? Okay, because they are the topmost devotees of Krishna, as I have mentioned. They are in the Madhurya Rasa. They engage with Krishna in Madhurya Rasa, and Madhurya Rasa is the epitome of all the devotional services. Okay, so the lesson number one that we can take: gopis in the village were always absorbed in thinking of him and discussing his different pastimes. They had no other business. Okay, simply every day in and day out, just Krishna, Krishna this, Krishna that. All the discussions were simply focused on Krishna, his names, his qualities, his pastimes. Okay, and such a state is known as samadhi. Okay, so this is a perfect example of Krishna consciousness to somehow or the other always remain engrossed in the thoughts of Krishna. Okay, and this state is called samadhi. Okay, and in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna clearly explains that of all the yogis, yogi nam api sarvesham mad gaten nantaratmana shraddhavan bhajte yomam sa me yukta tamo mata. Right? So this is what Krishna says, that of all the yogis, Gyan yogis, Dhyan yogis, Karma yogis, only the person who is engaged in pure devotional service unto me, I consider them to be best of all. That is my opinion. Okay, that is what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. Most of us, since we do not read the Bhagavad Gita completely, we have this misconception that Bhagavad Gita is all about, karm karo, phal ki chinta mat karo. No, it's just the beginning, beginning part of the Bhagavad Gita. If you read Bhagavad Gita end to end, Krishna has clearly established the superiority of Bhakti Yoga over all other yoga systems. Okay, so this state is called Samadhi, and gopis are the topmost, like yogis, actually, we can say. Okay, therefore, Lord Chaitanya himself, he declared that no one can worship the Supreme Lord by any method which is better than the method of gopis. Okay, and the gopis' only purpose was to remain always absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna. Okay, so to such wonderful devotees and the gopis of Vrindavan and to Srimati Radharani, we all offer our humble obeisances and just pray to them that we can just develop a fraction of that devotion which they have towards Krishna, and our lives will be perfect. Okay, so with that mood, I would like to pause here. Okay, and I hope all of you enjoyed the pictures and the pastimes that was narrated. And with that mood, let's prepare our consciousness for the upcoming Janmashtami. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for such an enchanting and amazing Krishna Katha. Let us all thank Prabhuji by chanting one round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such an amazing lecture. And all these lectures, all the Krishna Kathas that you have been hearing from the past 20 days are parts from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Now it's time to end this session. And before that, I would like to announce the winner of yesterday's quiz. As you all know, we have a quiz after each session. So the winner of yesterday's quiz is Chetan. A big Hari Bol for Chetan. Hari Bol. Now I would like to... Okay. So we have upcoming Krishna Janmashtami on 26th of August, which is being hosted at 10 different locations in Whitefield. You all can go to your nearest location and enjoy the Krishna Janmashtami by taking up sevas, having the delicious prasadam, donating for Krishna Janmashtami. And there are going to be many fun activities, different bhoga preparations, abhishekam that you can attend, which is both there for kids and adults. So please come over and join us this Krishna Janmashtami on 26th of August. Now it's time for today's quiz. So I would request Prabhuji to kindly send the links for today's quiz. You all can attempt the quiz. And the winner of today's quiz would be announced in tomorrow's session. The winner is decided on the basis of the least time taken and the one who gives the most correct answers. So go on, answer the quiz, and you can win prizes too. That's really nice. I can see a lot of people answering the quiz. So with this, I think I would like to end the session and conclude by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra once more. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Once again, thank you all for